everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing my May wrap-up and May book haul. First I want to just say hi to all of my new subscribers. Jesse from Jesse the Reader did a shout out for my channel in his favorite booktubers video series that he's doing, and so I just want to say thanks to Jesse for doing that because he obviously didn't need to do that, and so I'm really appreciative that he shouted out my channel and he said some really nice things about me. If for some strange reason you aren't subscribed to his channel or you don't know who I'm talking about, there will be a link to his channel down in the description. First up, for videos I made this month, the majority of videos I made ended up having to do with Bout of Books. I did a video announcing that I was doing Bout of Books, and then the next week my videos were all about Bout of Books or my progress in them. The only other ones that I did was the video I did last week talking about book nostalgia. In terms of book reviews that I did this month, I did a review on The Warmth of Other Suns by Isabel Wilkerson, which is a really great nonfiction novel talking about the Great Migration that happened in America, which is something that is not really talked about. I also did a review on Someday Someday Maybe by Lauren Graham, and last week I did a full series review on Percy Jackson and the Olympian series by Rick Riordan. Like I said earlier, I did the Bout of Books readathon, which was a week-long readathon in case you guys didn't hear about it before, and because of that my reading amount for this month is slightly more inflated than it usually is. Usually I read around 4 books a month. This month I was able to get through 9. Of course, a significant portion of those are kids / middle grade books. At the beginning of the month I read Someday Someday Maybe by Lauren Graham, of course, and then I read the last 3 books in the Percy Jackson series, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. 2 of those were for Bout of Books. And then I read the first 2 books in the series of Unfortunate Events. And the final book that I read during the readathon was The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken, and I mentioned this in the Bout of Books wrap-up video that I was going to do a quick review on this during the wrap-up. I didn't want to do a full review on this book because I didn't really have a lot of thoughts on it. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars because it wasn't a horrible read. This is actually a really fast book to get through. I didn't hate it, but I also kind of felt like nothing happened in the book. Like, things happened, but I felt like by the time I got to the end of the novel, there was no real progress made in terms of the overall storyline for the series. I felt like everything that was supposed to be a surprise in this book, I kind of already assumed, and so when they were officially revealed, I wasn't necessarily that shocked by it. My favorite characters in this book are Chubbs and Zoo, and I didn't have any fun having to follow Ruby around because this is told from her perspective, and I really wasn't that in love with Liam like I think I'm supposed to be. At the end of it, I was just kind of meh about it. The final 2 books I read during this month were White Teeth by Zadie Smith. This is actually a book that took me almost the entire month to read because I started at the beginning of the month and I kept putting it down and reading other books instead, and not because this is a bad book by any means, but mostly because this is a really dense book. But I will be doing a full review on this book this Thursday. And finally, I read Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, or Rowell. I still don't know how to say her name. After I read Eleanor and Park, I became really interested to read the other things that she wrote. Let me know if you guys are interested in seeing a review on this book in the comments down below, and I will be sure to put that up next week. So just to do my monthly update on my reading goals for the 50 book challenge, I'm currently on book 33, which is really weird. Like, to be honest guys, I've only hit the 50 book challenge once in my life, and that one time that I did it, I like just barely hit 50 by the end of the year, so to be so ahead of schedule is very weird for me. Honestly, it probably does have a lot to do with the fact that I'm reading more young adult books, and so those are easier to get through. In terms of Mount TBR, I am supposed to be at 15 books read, and I currently have 16 books read, which is great. As long as I keep reading 2 or 3 books from my Mount TBR list for the rest of the year, I should be just fine, and if you're not sure what Mount TBR is, I'll have links down in the description. Now for my May book haul, I picked up quite a few books this month. Oh well, it happens. The first one I picked up is The Easter Parade by Richard Yates. I'm actually going to be reading this with a couple other booktubers. And then Book Closeouts was having a 50% off all their paperback sale. If you don't know what Book Closeouts is, it's a website that sells books that are sent back to publishers because they might be slightly damaged or there's a problem with them. It's a really good place to get really cheap books, especially if you're not like super picky about your books. A lot of times the problems with the books are super minor. Rainbow Rowell's Attachments was one of them, and I wasn't completely sure what the problem was with this book because like it looks pretty perfect, but I realized when I was reading it that there's a mark on one of the pages, like a printed mark that covers up a couple words, but it's words that you can figure out what they are based on all of the other words around them, so it's not even something that makes such a huge difference. And then I picked up The Year We Left Home from Jean Thompson, and I'm not even sure what's wrong with this one. It looks, again, in perfect condition to me, but there might be a mistake on the inside of the book, and I don't know yet because I haven't read it yet. And then the final one, which is the most damaged, is The Marriage Bureau for Rich People by Farad Zama. And this one, the back has a little bit of a dent in it, which isn't that big of a deal to me because it feels like a normal beat up copy. But the big problem is the fact that the spine, it doesn't have anything printed on it except for a couple symbols, but they forgot to print the title on the spine, which I think is kind of funny personally, but that's probably why the book was sent back. And then I went to Half Price Books because they were having 20% off your entire purchase for Memorial Day weekend. First, I picked up The Titan's Curse and the Battle of the Labyrinth from the Percy Jackson series. I also picked up Jeffrey Eugeniedes' The Marriage Plot. Part of the reason why I picked this up is because I really like this edition of it. I also picked up HHHH by Laurent Binet. These letters are an abbreviation for a German phrase which translates to Himmler's brain is called Heydrich. This is a book about Hitler's most dangerous man in his cabinet, and I've heard really, really good things about this book, and I didn't realize it was out in paperback. And then finally I picked up 2 graphic novels. I got Persepolis, and I've already read this one, but I haven't read Persepolis 2 yet, but they didn't have that one. And then I got Batman Year One by Frank Miller. I love this comic book so much, and I'm definitely going to be rereading this, you know, like today. So yeah, that's basically my May for you guys. Feel free to leave your comments down below letting me know how you guys are doing on your reading challenges, maybe what your favorite books are, or any new books that you've picked up, or if you've read any of the books that I picked up. Feel free to let me know what you thought of them, or if you want me to read one of these books soon and put a review up for it, please let me know that in the comments. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.